Good afternoon, everyone. It's David Schlotthauer here with the latest update on Tropical Storm Idalia for Sunday, August 27th, 2023. As always, my thoughts in this video are mine alone, and making any decisions, please consult the National Hurricane Center and your local officials for the latest information for where you're at. So, taking a look at the latest true color visible satellite imagery provided by Dr. Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com on Idalia in the northwestern Caribbean, and the system has shown more signs of better organization in recent hours. As we can see here, the overall structure here on the zoomed out view showing you where Idalia is. This is where Cuba is. This is the Yucatan. Here is Florida off towards the northeast of the system. And right now, the Gulf is showing signs. We have shear as we have an upper level trough, but this trough is forecasted to abate the area over the next few days, helping to decrease shear out ahead of this system. When you take a closer zoomed in view on where or on how Idalia is evolving this afternoon, when we look at the earlier frames, we can see a little bit of a naked swirl here before we get more deeper convection and cirrus clouds that do obscure that center. But at the same time, if we look off to the northeast of the system, we do have presence of outflow boundaries, which do indicate we're seeing some dry air present within the environment surrounding Idalia at the moment. But with all this deep convection to the south here, this could actually help to precondition the northern quadrant and allow Idalia to tighten up fairly quickly. When we take a zoomed out view on the water vapor imagery, showing you the moisture plot. Is there any dry air? Is there any moisture around? And we've talked about how some of this drier air over Florida might get eventually entrained in the system and allow some disruption with the inner core eventually. We'll see how that all evolves at the moment, since, again, Idalia is a little bit further south than what we thought yesterday, where it could have been probably over here. It's a little further south today, and that means the drier air is a little further away from the system, just a little bit. But then another thing that we're also watching for is this belt of westerly winds to the north of the system. Now that's going to become a tricky portion of the forecast. How will this belt of winds interact with Idalia in the next 3 to 5 days, as this eventually will launch northward towards the Big Bend of Florida? Now, another thing that we could see as far as intensity estimates go based on satellite, we also got Recon that is flying through the system. This was their mission completed yesterday or today from the NOAA 3 mission, and we have seen a drop in air pressure. Roughly the center is kind of hanging out around here. It's really tough to pinpoint the center, but it is in the books of 999 and 998 millibars. We'll see if there has been a pressure drop, and I'll update you guys if necessary. By the way, we'll be providing some live updates on the system starting Tuesday morning on this YouTube channel, so I hope you all are excited. We'll give you guys live recon data, live satellite intensity estimates, and much more. We'll also have some of my friends, some of my viewers actually help me be live on the channel too. So some fun things coming for the channel is a live stream, providing you guys live detailed updates on Idalia. All right, so this is another look at another recon mission. This is an upper level drop zone. This is the G5 aircraft, or G5. That samples the atmosphere to better help the models kind of kink out some of the wrinkles that the models do suffer with as far as positioning, strength, and everything like that. So they've been doing their mission today, flying over the Gulf of Mexico at about 47,000 feet. And they've been doing some drop zones, and one of the drop zones that we do have across the northern tier, okay, we'll do drop zone number 4, because that's where kind of our cold front is actually located at the moment. Not there exactly, but we do have a diffused boundary. We do have a little bit of dry air located right above 500 millibars, so we do have some limiting factors here as far as the environment surrounding this system, but this is well to the north, and this will be well fed into the 18Z and 0Z global computer models once those start rendering this evening. So the only thing we have today is the 12Z model guidance on tropicaltidbits.com. And this gives us an idea on how strong what is the environment looking like surrounding Idalia. Well, right now, again, the G5 aircraft that is flying through this portion is getting some dry air in the deep layers of the atmosphere. Again, right around the 500 millibar layer, all the way up to 200 millibars. That's being well modeled here on the HAFS-A parent guidance that we have. And if we bring this forward, the question is, how much or how long will much of this dry air linger around? Will this disrupt the inner core? Could this lead to a wrinkle in the forecast? Well, when we play this through forward, we could see, again, some of that deep convection that's on the southern side to actually wrap around. And if it's able to do so, before the system is able to move northward, we could see a lot of moisture kind of enveloping the northeastern quadrant of the circulation and the eastern side, allowing not only for some intense heavy rainfall over Florida, but this might actually moisten up the atmosphere to allow at least more quicker strengthening. However, at the same time, we do have this pocket right over in here of drier mid and deep layer air situated just to the west of Idalia. Why this is a problem is if we get any westerly shear that does encroach onto the system, I would suppose to see that this dry air could actually get into the inner core and disrupt it. And if we get any disruptions with the inner core, you might as well not have Idalia strengthen very much. And this is what this model indicates. Now, supposedly, the models have been trending for a stronger system after Tuesday. So somewhere by Tuesday morning and beyond, we could see the environment briefly become pristine for Idalia to become better organized. And we could see a Category 1 hurricane, maybe a Category 2 hurricane at this point in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, you guys might watch other YouTube channels. I'm not going to mention the names. They're already kicking out major hurricane intensities with this Category 4, Category 5 hurricane. I would not go that far yet. All right, I just want to make that clear with you all that are watching this video. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not going to hype, cap, or do anything. I'm going to make this as realistic as I can. And right now, there are enough wrinkles in the forecast with the dry air and a little bit of shear that could prevent this from becoming a major hurricane at the moment. Even so, some of our guidance here illustrates that we could have a very powerful hurricane making landfall over the Big Bend of Florida. Yes, we'll see a hurricane. We might see a Cat 2, but there's some limiting factors that could prevent a Cat 3 or greater to occur. And one of those is, again, the dry air, and another one of those is the 200 millibar winds. And like I showed you, if we go back and look at the upper level drop zone mission, let's go to this. This is pretty well modeled. And is being fed really well into the HAFS-A with these winds that are blowing in out of the westerly direction. However, though, once we get into Monday night, into Tuesday, the question is, what is that trough going to do? Is it going to get absorbed and move away? Or is it just going to kind of retrograde and back here and allow the system to accelerate faster with more shear? There's, again, a lot of wrinkles here in the forecast on how strong, how favorable can the environment become with Idalia. I know some people have been saying the cursed I name, like Ida, Iota, Ian, you get the idea. You know, not necessarily all ice storms get very strong, okay? But it's a coincidence that it is an ice storm. This is the one that we've got to watch closely. So now looking at the 200 millibar winds, again, the reason why there's some wrinkles is there's no outflow here. Okay, we want outflow in quite a bit of the quadrants so the system's able to breathe, exhaust that air out for strengthening to even or rapid intensification to actually occur. And again, there's westerly winds here, and it's like you're blowing hot air in one direction. and you're not allowing it to breathe out in all quadrants. So there is inhibitors that I do see here, and I'm going to be real that I'm not comfortable at calling this a major hurricane in the forecast just yet, just based on the data and the research that I've gotten. Now, some of you in the chat are even saying that, dude, it's not going to become a Cat 2. It's not going to become a Cat 1. A Cat 2 is less likely than a Cat 1, but it is still possible. But the chances decrease significantly the stronger you get. I mean, there's less than 1% chance that this could become a Cat 1 hurricane or a Cat 5 versus if it becomes a Cat 1, you have much higher confidence in that. So the shear is going to be with us for the next few days. Light to or low to moderate shear values, anywhere between 10 and 20 knots, is going to help to eliminate rapid intensification here with Idalia. Otherwise, it would take full advantage of these waters. Now, once we get into Tuesday morning, like I said, I want to be clear here, while the shear does decrease a lot, we will have to watch exactly how strong it is at this point. If it's stronger than what the models do indicate here, then this could be a much stronger system that we thought. Due to the fact that we have those inhibitors, we got some dry air and shear, there's a lot of uncertainty in the intensity guidance. So now the question is, how strong? Okay, if we just look at the HMON, the HWRF, and the HAVS B and A runs, right, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty. And if we actually go to this model, so if we start with the HWRF model, which is a hurricane weather research forecast model, especially for hurricanes, it's been consistently showing that the system is probably going to end up being a category 1 or 2, right? We have had stronger signals yesterday that this could have been a major hurricane versus today's runs have trended it weaker, barely now at a major hurricane with winds at around 106 knots. And again, that's a little bit of the quadrant there. So roughly averaging this all out, probably a category 2 at this point when it makes its landfall in the Big Bend of Florida. Again, this is Florida right here. I want to be clear. There is the Big Bend. Okay. Tallahassee's somewhere over here. Jackson is over here. Pensacola and Panama City are over here. This would be Tuesday night or Wednesday early morning. And again, we're going to be streaming on this, giving you the latest data on these models. Now, let's look at the HMON model when this makes landfall at 931 millibars. Okay, so this is one of those different models that, again, we don't base it off of this model. We have to look at the blend of averages at this point, and this shows a landfall Wednesday morning, shortly or slightly slower than the HWRF model. So the HMON stronger and slower with the system. All right, with, again, possibly Category 3 force, even Category 4 force winds. Now, the HAVS A model also strongly indicating Tuesday night, even into early Wednesday morning. So we have a landfall somewhere Tuesday night into Wednesday morning here for the Big Bend of Florida. How strong? Again, we got to be careful about this one, okay? Some people are saying this will become a Cat 4 or a Cat 5 hurricane. I would not jump the gun on that right now, and I'm going to stay pretty cool with you all on this, that a major hurricane right now is very iffy, really iffy until we get more model data in at the point. But this is 941 millibars, so that is pretty strong, with the HMON being the more bullish one in today's cycle. However, the HAVS B model indicating a 936 millibar system arriving on the Florida coast also by early Wednesday morning. So between about, say, 11 o'clock Tuesday night through about 7 or 8 in the morning, there's that window of a possible landfall here over the Big Bend of Florida. And if it's a major hurricane or not, it really won't matter a whole lot, because we have, let me zoom out so you all can see this. We have really warm water through here. I mean, water temperatures are greater than 31 Celsius. Right near the Big Bend here, we have water temperatures at around 32 Celsius. which is very, very, very warm upper ocean heat content and octane fuel. We have even a patch here of 31.5 Celsius waters, according to the latest analysis here from yesterday of the Gulf waters. Very, very warm. So again, this has a high ceiling, but I want to be clear, it also has a low ceiling too because of the shear and dry air. There's always atmospheric impacts or obstacles out there that can prevent such a fast intensifying system, and one of those, dry air and shear that we're looking at. And also the timing, it can spend up to 2 days potentially over the Gulf waters before making landfall over here in Florida. Also, upper ocean heat content pretty high at this time, more than high enough to support a very intense hurricane or a rapidly strengthening one when it passes through this patch of waters. And even upper ocean heat content here is fairly elevated right off the Big Bend of Florida. So now to my to the NHC graphical or graphics here, I wanted to kind of show you all this because again, my job is giving you all very reliable, honest information without hype, no cap, no Willy Wonka like other YouTubers out there are. All right, Pat's Path is probably the best one out there to go visit too. There will be a link in the description below this video. He's trying to keep it pretty tame too, but other YouTubers outside of me and him, they're going to go crazy. And that's just them because they want views and they want attention. All right, so let's take a look here at the key messages. Idalia is forecast to become a hurricane over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and there is increasing risk of life-threatening storm surge, flooding from heavy rainfall, and hurricane-force winds along portions of the west coast of Florida and Florida Panhandle beginning as early as Tuesday, although it is too soon to specify the exact location and magnitude of these impacts. Residents in these areas should monitor updates to the forecast and have their hurricane plan in place and follow any advice given by your local officials. Okay, storm surge and hurricane watches may be required for portions of the Gulf Coast of Florida later today. And by the way, Governor DeSantis in Florida has issued a state of emergency as of yesterday. So just take that into consideration too. Heavy rainfall is expected across the eastern Yucatan Peninsula and western Cuba and may produce areas of flash and urban flooding and landslides across western Cuba. Idalia is forecast to become a tropical storm later today and a tropical storm. Well, it's already a tropical storm as we speak, but again, this is showing you those impacts. All right, so what is the risk of heavy rainfall? You all may be wondering. Well, if we zoom in on this, there is a slight risk over Tallahassee and Jacksonville for some heavy rainfall and flooding, as well as Tampa Bay. I won't be surprised if Orlando gets in a slight risk, and we will certainly see upgrades to the flood risk map here on the NHC in days to come when we get an exact location and landfall. If that's in your area or not, it won't matter. We're looking at some intense rainfall with this system. And speaking of that, look at these rainfall totals. These are pretty concerning. Tallahassee could get 6 to 10 inches of rainfall. Even in Georgia and the Carolinas, I forgot to really mention you all here that this could bring intense rainfall, lots of flooding, maybe some landslides in some of the hilly mountainous terrain too. So just be aware of that. And actually, I'll be so nice enough to share with you all the rainfall forecast on the hurricane model. And I'm telling you, lots of rainfall moving over Florida, over Georgia. My goodness, very heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, maybe some water spouts and tornadoes moving into Georgia, the Carolina coast, South and North Carolina, maybe even getting close to, say, Virginia. Could even get some intense rainfall and some gusty winds out of the system. So just because it may not be such a big wind threat, the rainfall will be exceptional, and the flooding could be life-threatening, if not unsurvivable, for some locations living in the Big Bend of Florida. So now looking at the track forecast with Tropical Storm Idalia, we can see hurricane conditions are likely or expected according to the NHC forecast here on the cone of uncertainty over the Big Bend of Florida. Again, the cone of uncertainty is there for a reason. This could move more north and impact, say, areas near Pensacola, Florida, Panama City, as well as areas like Tampa, Florida, which got hit last year with major and destructive, catastrophic Hurricane Ian. That one was a big problem. So we'll have to watch this one. Could this impact Tampa or get close to Tampa again? We shall see. But right now, we are likely to see this to remain at least a tropical storm or greater intensity throughout the entire 5-day forecast. The risk of tropical storm force winds are increasing along the Big Bend of Florida, now at 40 to 60% chance of that occurring by Tuesday night. Again, the timing will change accordingly based on model guidance and stuff, but we're thinking tropical storm force winds will arrive there by Tuesday night, with hurricane force winds probably overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, bringing the threat for some significant flooding. Now, before I do in this video, I know this is going to be kind of a long one. I do want to briefly update, just a very quick tidbit update on Hurricane Franklin that we cannot forget. Right now, Hurricane Franklin is beginning to organize and intensify pretty quickly here. Now a Category 2 hurricane, according to the latest NHC advisory, as this is moving to the northwest. And when we take a look at the NHC cone of uncertainty, we can see that the cone is now back over Bermuda. So hurricane watches, if not warnings, as well as tropical storm watches or warnings could be needed for that area. And this would be for Wednesday morning. We may have to go live on this one too for Bermuda standards, since we do have a lot of people watching from Bermuda. We cannot ignore Franklin nor Idalia, since these will be impacting both pretty populated areas. All right, well, that's going to sum it up for today's detailed update on Idalia. I sure hope this video helped you out a lot, folks. Please share this with your friends and family on social media. Get the word out. I have my mom that lives in Ocala, Florida. I have family and relatives that live also in Florida. So again, please get this out to a lot of people. This could intensify very quickly if the conditions allow it to. We could be looking at a Michael here. We could be looking at an Ian. We just don't know yet how strong will this be when it makes landfall. But we do know it's going to be a hurricane, and it could be a very catastrophic one with flooding, unsurvivably speaking, as well as strong winds and power outages. So I hope this helped you out a lot. If it did, share, like, and subscribe, and I will have another detailed update on this tomorrow morning, followed by another update tomorrow afternoon. We're going to do a double header tomorrow on this channel.